And we're back. Let me take this off. Put this over here. Ready for another one-take video. Yo, it's been like 4 months, I feel like, since I made my last video. I spoke in May. May is 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th. So 3 months. It's been 3 freaking months since I've made a video. And I've actually watched, every time I make a video, I always watch back every single one just to see where I'm at, just to see like where everyone that's watching this is at. Let me give quick updates. We're gonna make this one not as rambly because before I was like, oh, we're gonna make this good, but then we didn't end up making it good. It ended up lasting 46 minutes, something like that. So let's go through a rundown so we can give a little bit of background and then we'll continue. If anyone's new here, just know that these are the types of videos that I just give updates on my life. It's very informal, very one-take videos. I don't expect you to stay the entire time. These videos are mainly for myself in the future and for people that would watch me in the future once I'm a little more known in the world. I don't intend for anybody to see them right now. So, currently, coronavirus, US population of people that are infected is 4.6 million. Canada is at like 120K. I think I got the 4.6 million thing wrong because I wrote notes before this and it was like a few days ago, so it might be a little higher. And the main difference in terms of the world that you need to know about what's different is the fact that everyone's actually coming outside now. Before I was saying that things are slowly starting to roll out, but it wasn't really. So now there's like stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, where like stage 1, I don't remember like the specifics for stage 1 and 2, but I just know like certain essential businesses were, like almost essential businesses were opened, and then stage 3 was where everybody was allowed to just like, you know, go and chill out, and certain restaurants they used to not allow people to sit inside, now they're allowed to sit inside as long as they wear face masks. And check this out, every time that I go outside I need 3 things. I need my keys, right? I need my face mask, and I need my wallet, which is right there. But this is like the number one thing. You always gotta put it on like this because otherwise it's a problem. See, me, you're supposed to put it on like this. With me, because I have a big ass beard, I don't do that. Because the last time I did it, last time I went like this, my beard, when I took it off, it started like getting all deformed and shit. So what I did was I said, okay, we're gonna do it like this. We're gonna put it right above my chin, just like this. And we're gonna look sexy like this. So basically, that's pretty much how, what's going on right now with the external world. Things are actually not as bad. Like, people are literally on the beach all the time. I remember back when I went in June, people were just chilling on the beach. I'm in literally downtown Toronto. If you go to Lakeshore and you just go down that Lakeshore sidewalk, that bike path, it doesn't matter which one, and you'll just see people in every single intersection. You'll see, if there's a park, you'll see people just gathered, just chilling, especially on the weekends. So that's the background of what's going on in the outer world. I used to think that the economy, I remember like back in the day, I was like, yo, the economy's gonna crash. It might, we might go into a recession, but like surprisingly, there's actually been some businesses that have been booming because of this, like extremely booming, where like almost things are almost hedging against each other, where most of the money that's gone from here is moving over to here. You see what I'm saying? So I thought that was interesting. So I think there's a lot of things that are different since the last 3 videos that I've made. So I want to just do a quick little overview of every single thing that I did, like every video I made, and I just want to explain my mindset at each stage, because my mindset's changed a little bit, and I want to show that on camera so that anyone that has been watching since the beginning doesn't think that I'm still in the same mindset. It'll allow a little bit more coherency. So, phase 1, settling into Toronto. I know the first video, it was actually my second video. My first video was when I was in Oakville. My second video, when I first moved here, I think I lived in there for like a month, something like that. But I was literally just in a state of fear, in a state of uncertainty, all of that, right? The interesting thing that I didn't mention at that time was my mindset was almost like, yo, I'm in a new house, I'm in a new place. Therefore, I gotta make everything personal. I gotta make everything beautiful, everything decorated, everything private. I wanted to soundproof the shit out of my room so that no one else would hear what I'm doing, such as like the music I'd be playing or me singing or me doing whatever. I didn't want to hear anybody else. I wanted to decorate my living room. I wanted to decorate my room. I wanted to see like everything beautiful. I wanted it to be like almost a thing where I could just invite my boys and like they have a good time here, stuff like that. I was unnecessarily buying a lot of things because of that. So I wanted to soundproof my room, like I mentioned. I wanted a bigger bed. I wanted to decorate. I bought like this freaking lamp. I don't even know where it is. Oh, it's right here. Check this out. I literally bought this shit, and I've never used it once ever since I got it. This lamp, you hold it, and then it turns on. I don't even know if it works anymore because the fucking battery low out. I haven't used it in so long. But that's the type of shit that I bought for like $30 for no reason. So I was buying a lot of stuff. Then I was thinking about setting my systems, which is what I mentioned during that time. I was talking about how what's going to happen if I don't have any food, right? So if I don't have any food, then I have to set up a system so that I don't have to think about always going to make food for myself, or else naturally the least path of resistance is to not eat food here, but to go to McDonald's or Chipotle or some restaurant that I would normally go to. So I was setting up those systems. I called them maintenance systems and habit systems. I sort of like delayed the habit systems. The habit systems meaning like working out, meditating, concentrating, having like a good sleep schedule, stuff like that. But I was basically trying to establish my maintenance systems. That's what I mentioned at that time. And I also mentioned that I was scared. And I was scared of the following things because I had no experience. I thought Toronto was competitive. I didn't have enough time. Didn't have enough time in the sense that I would run out of money before I would be able to make my break, and the fact that I was in school. Now this is before, I didn't even mention this probably, but this is before CERB happened, CERB, where you were able to get benefits from the government, and that actually alleviated my situation like incredibly. Like I got a total of 12K so far over the last few months, which has been really, really good because I couldn't like tutor even if I wanted to, right? Because no one had school. So I benefited from there. But we'll talk about how things are now a little bit later. Let's just do a recap. So also the fact that I was in school, no time, Toronto's competitive, all that made me scared. That's pretty much what my idea was at that time. So I was like, okay, we'll just go on to it. Then phase 2 was building my foundations. So I've had this idea of building foundations since January of 2020, before I even moved out. And my definition of building foundations has changed every single month, bro. Like my initial idea of building foundations was like building the essential projects, such as having data analysis on my time tracking, or having an automatic trading bot, or having an automatic decision maker. Like those were like the three best things that I wanted to establish first, and then I could do everything else. Then I realized, okay, before I even do that, first of all, I have to understand what maintenance systems I have to have in order to avoid being bogged down by all this putting off fires and stuff. So I did that, maintenance systems, but then I was like, wait, before I even do maintenance systems, I have to be able to design good maintenance systems. And before I design good things, where can I design them after I have the right infrastructure? So what I mean by that is, let's assume, for example, I want to remind myself to do the laundry every week. How do I do that? I have to use a tool to be able to make myself aware and have it in front of me and remind me. So I had to basically discover certain tools like Todoist, Google Calendar, Evernote, Notion, all these applications, just connecting them all together to make sure my schedule was completely flawless so I can actually establish these habits. Not the habits, to establish these maintenance systems. So then I was like, okay, before I have the right infrastructure, I have to know what to track. Essentially, by the way, no, that's actually not right. In order to have the right infrastructure, I have to know what to track. So an example is, let's assume that I have a problem, like I'm having a problem sleeping. I always sleep early. I wake up at random times of the day. Even if I have a schedule to sleep at a certain time, wake up at a certain time, it doesn't happen. So I have to figure out the best things to be tracking in order to have all the data available to be able to come up with good solutions. You know what I mean? So that was okay. In order to know what to track, I have to have the right tools. But I'm like, wait, in order to have the right tools, because then I started realizing that even if I had the right tools, I wasn't actually focused on working. So I was like, okay, in order to have the right tools, I have to develop focus systems. And then in order to develop focus systems, I was like, wait, what if I can't even have the right incentive to do anything? So I was like, wait, I have to make sure my incentive system is very robust so that I actually am doing things for this, that I'm actually motivated to do things, basically. And that was interesting. So then I was like, okay, incentive system. So I stopped there. I developed the incentive system. I knew my main incentive system that I think I probably mentioned in the past was challenges. I have this framework where I call challenges where I almost jeopardize something that I really value. So like a certain sum of money where it automatically will send it to my dad, for example. I'm just sending it to my dad because I have to pay him back. I don't want to send it to anywhere else. So basically I would send a certain sum of money if I don't get a certain amount of things done within a certain week. And it's actually been very successful because the KPIs that I'm trying to track to make sure I get them done is very specific. And I can almost link them. I haven't done it yet, but I can almost link them so that if these are not fulfilled, it will automatically trigger something to send the money. So it will force me to do something. So I set incentive systems. I also know that from my past journey of a year or so, that with the self-awareness that I've gained, I actually have the right incentives, I have the right foundation. But it hasn't been 100%, but it's pretty solid. So I didn't have to worry about that too much, thankfully. So I started then percolating back down. So now my incentive system's good, let's go back to being focused. Now I developed some focus systems. I actually developed some nice stuff. I started being able to track when I was partially not focused while I was supposed to be doing a task, when I completely lost focus, and also when I moved a task. So the way in which I built this was almost like this. I have a calendar. So in the beginning of the day, I plan exactly what I should be doing. And the rule that I basically set was that I cannot move a single thing after I plan it. And you can almost partition this so that you don't have to plan the entire day, but you can only plan the next few hours. But let's even say that you only plan the next few hours. If you plan the next few hours, you fucking have to do whatever it is that you plan for the next few hours. And if you don't do it, so an example is, let's assume you're going and then you're supposed to be doing a task right here, and then you get partially distracted, like you go on your phone while you're on it, that counts as a counter of being partially distracted. And then if you completely lose focus, like you do something completely different and you completely neglect the task, that's considered a focus loss. And then if you decide right before you're about to do the task, you're like, oh, okay, I don't want to do it right now, so you move it down lower into your calendar, that's considered moving a task. So I tried to like completely get every single possible thing that would allow me to escape doing the task and quantify it like that. That's what I meant by establishing a focus system, because then I can attach that system to my incentive system and say, if I surpass 5 tasks that have been moved, then there's going to be an issue. I have to send that certain sum of money to my dad. So that's like, it was actually very successful, and I still have implemented it till today. But the issue is that I don't know, there's certain things that I haven't, the way in which I've developed it now has almost been a little bit neglected because I haven't been following my schedule in general. And I haven't been enforcing the challenges, for me to actually do it. The forfeit itself, I haven't been enforcing it. So that's the reason why. Yo, I'm gonna quickly take like a 2-second break and just check if I'm actually recording, because I don't want to talk for like 40 minutes. All right, cool. So that's pretty much what my mindset was in the second phase, which is something that I was thinking about in my last video, which I didn't mention about because I was too busy establishing my 5 guiding principles that I was following. So then, after that happened, I established some good focus systems. Then I had a lot more things. Like I had priming to do. Like I thought I was a big believer in priming, basically being able to physiologically allow yourself to become focused at will. It's almost like something that like Tony Robbins does with his NLP and like his Dickens method and stuff like that. The Dickens method is almost like an incentive system that he's created. So then comes the right tools. So then I started actually establishing the right tools. As I mentioned to you, Notion, Todoist, Evernote, all those. Miro, a good way of mind mapping. And then I was like, okay, once I have the right tools, then I have to figure out where the right things to track. And then I was like, okay, what is it that I'm tracking? And I actually ended up finishing almost all of it. But then this was the problem. This was where I reached an issue. So as I was trying to figure out all the things to be tracking, I was tracking all types of stuff, like my time, like my thoughts, my emotions, my location, my ideas, my questions, my observations, like so many things I was tracking, my decisions, my problems. And I was tracking so many things, heart rate, sleep. I can keep going, by the way, but I was tracking so many things, and I was setting up so many systems that almost like there was no end to it. And I was like, okay, this is an issue, because I was like, okay, I can't do anything because I keep adding new things to my to-do list. And oh shoot, I just realized I didn't even there's a reason why I was stuttering before, because I was like, there is a disconnect. So there's one thing I haven't mentioned, which was before I even started any of these systems, going from the incentive system to a focus system to finding the right tools to be focused, or tracking anything, and creating the right infrastructure and the maintenance systems, basically percolating back down, I realized that I needed to create a sprint. That basically means I needed to create a specified timeline of when I will dedicate all my energy towards a specific system. Because otherwise, if I'm working towards all of them at once, I'd be bombarded with ideas upon ideas upon ideas for what to do for each system. So let me give you an example. So before I incorporated these sprints, I was just working on anything. I was like, okay, let's just focus on my incentive system first. But then I realized, I was like, yo, I have so many ideas for my tracking systems that I could be doing. And instead of putting these ideas for all these other systems that I wanted to incorporate, I put them on my to-do list, like my main to-do list. And it almost like completely made my to-do list almost obscure, because I didn't even know where to start. There were certain things I didn't want to do right now. And then I started thinking about delaying the tasks, putting them in another section. And I was like, wait, if I put these all in different sprints, package them all in a way in which I don't have to ever worry about this until I get to that part, then things get really interesting. Because then I can take a task that I have to do that I just thought about, and I'm like, okay, I don't have to do it right now, although it seems very important. I just have to move it to this sprint. I will do it at this time, whenever this sprint comes. And it was beautiful. It allowed me to organize every single thought so beautifully that, oh my God, you don't even understand. So what happened was I did that. I was successful. So let's go back to the story. Let's pick up what we were talking about. So I ended up establishing all those systems, incentives, focus, all the stuff I mentioned, figuring out the right tools, figuring out what to track. But then this was the problem. Because there were so many things to track, I was realizing that I was like, why am I overstepping the timeline? I had a timeline. So from January till February, or in this case, from April till May, I wanted to establish this system, this system, this system. And I kept going over the due date. And I was like, wait, what's going on? I had another problem too, which was because I had the due date, I started realizing I was half-assing some of the systems in order to get to the due date. Like I was just establishing these, I was just doing the tasks just to complete a task, not to actually do it. I was like, wait, this is a problem. This is a real problem. I have to figure out a way to create a system to make sure that all the tasks that I do have quality in them, so that they actually have certain requirements that have been fulfilled. And then came one of the most important systems that I've ever established in my entire life, which is a problem-solving system. A problem-solving system was the solution to me fixing this issue of half-assing tasks. So I basically amalgamated every type of problem-solving framework that I've ever came across, whether it was from business, whether it was from my own program, industrial engineering, whether it was from investigating a question from like the scientific method, stuff like that. I pretty much took all those frameworks and just merged into one framework that I thought was important, which I call the PSF, a problem-solving framework. And we're not going to get too much into it right now, but all you have to know is I found a framework for being able to solve a problem from A to Z. I'll just go over the general points of what they are. You define the problem, you measure, so you collect data, you analyze, you validate the relationships of what you've analyzed, then you design alternatives. Once you design alternatives, then you evaluate them by making a decision using decision matrices, and then after that you implement it, and then you come up with a control plan. So you actually come up with the control plan actually before. I haven't decided this yet, but you either come up with a control plan either before or after the implementation. I think depending on the task, it might be before, and depending on others, it might be after. So that's the system that I started following with the problem solving framework. That was good. So I was like, okay, now I know how to not half-ass tasks anymore. And then I was like, okay, wait. 1 second. Let me just read this. Right. So as I was like, okay, I'm doing all these problems, I'm solving all these problems, I started realizing that they're all taking a little bit of a long time. So I'm like, okay, I know that if I do this task, that I will complete it fully. I'll make sure that the optimal thing is established here, right? But every time I do a huge task, it actually will take a bit of time because I'm going to really go deep inside of it. So then I was like, wait, how do I optimally organize the right systems to be doing first? How do I optimally organize the things that I should be doing in general first? What I should be surrounding my environment by, whether I should be working out right now, for example, whether I should be like meeting new people and stuff like that. And that's when I took another step back and thought about leverage. Now, leverage is one of the most important things that I've come across, because I used to think that leverage was almost like an opportunistic type of mentality where you don't really care about anybody else, you just care about getting your own personal gain. But then I made this one misconception, which I realize now, which was it all depends on your objective. So the way in which I thought about leverage was this. The question was this: how do I organize and allocate all of the current resources that I have? And it doesn't have to be physical. It could be my physical assets. It could be, so that's physical. But other than physical, it could be my skills. It could be the people I know. It could be the knowledge that I have. There's so many things. I don't even know how I'm blanking out. I wrote like a whole document on this. But there's so many things that you can consider as resources that you can allocate in a way where if you just position them in the right way, it can create wonders for you. And that's when I was like, okay, I'm going to follow these systems, right? All these systems that I made, I'm going to follow them. But how do I just like set up the environment so that it actually gives me an optimal result? So I was like, okay, now we have to take another step back, which was leverage, thinking about that. And I started off very, very basic. I was like, okay, let's assume I'm homeless, because I actually might be homeless. This is before the whole syrup thing happened. So I was actually considering it. So I was like, okay, what happens if I'm homeless? What is the single-handedly biggest leverage that I can have being a homeless person? What's the thing that I can have that will give me the most leverage? And I noticed that I started thinking about actually what it would feel like if I was homeless, and I started coming up with such insane plans. I did so much research, and I ended up coming up with a whole list of things that I needed, essentials, which I might link right here. Like I might show right here as like a little thing, either here or here, whatever. I'll show it. I'll show like a whole list. And basically what happened was I ended up realizing that having a cell phone while being homeless was one of the most important things that you can possibly ever have, because it just connects you with the world. So that's something that happened with leverage. And then what's going on? My computer froze. Computer froze. Oh my god. It wants to be organized, so that's why I'm just like trying to make sure that everything is good. There we go. Okay. So then I was like, okay, what am I optimizing for? Am I optimizing for money? Am I optimizing for growth? Am I optimizing for something else? So I was like, wait, why not just investigate both? So I just looked at knowledge. Sorry. I looked at growth. I looked at money, and I was like, okay, these are the two most important, most prevalent things that most people are usually optimizing for: growth is something interesting, because growth doesn't necessarily have to incorporate money. Growth could be just, you could be literally be living paycheck to paycheck, but as long as your mind is growing, as long as your body's growing, then that's all that matters. So that's how I was thinking about it. Psychological growth, mental growth, being able to learn new skills, being able to provide value, stuff like that, being able to become more self-aware. So that type of growth was what I was trying to optimize for. So then I started thinking about the best way to incorporate leverage here. And I realized that experiential knowledge is the most important thing that you need in order to grow. And the reason why is because without new raw inputs coming, imagine this is like your world. If you don't have any new raw inputs coming into your life, it's very, very difficult to grow as much as you would want to if you just only had the environment that you did now. This is why people talk about how you should get out of your comfort zone. You should go and do new things, try new things, have new experiences, travel, stuff like that. That actually is very, very important. That's what I realized. But when I talk about experiential growth, it has nothing to do with the conceptual idea of experience. My idea of experiential growth was being able to understand and feel, not understand, but feel the range, the whole entire spectrum of all the possible feelings you could possibly feel in the world. So I'll give you an example. If someone has never felt the feeling of riding in a roller coaster, that like crazy feeling you feel in your stomach, you will never be able to do that in any other way without actually riding a roller coaster or doing something similar to that extent. And that person is one experience less. And I mean not one experience in terms of the context, like he's riding a roller coaster, he's missed out on a roller coaster. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm saying you're missing out on that feeling right there in your stomach. The experience of feeling that. And that has no words. That's what I'm trying to optimize for, because the more you can do that, the more you can become familiar with the world, the more you can understand and just be in fascination of all the different experiences you can have. And one of the almost hypotheses that I have right now is that there is no real limit to how many new experiences that you can have. So you can just experience forever. In my opinion, I think every single experience that you have, every moment changes to a new, unique one. Because although, for example, I'm sitting in this chair and I'm feeling the same pressure under my seat, I have not experienced that with the combination of what I'm hearing, what I'm feeling, what I'm tasting, and what I'm smelling all at the same time. If you look closely enough, you'll realize how subtly different it is. But anyways, that's digressing. Experiential knowledge. Deductive knowledge is another one, which I really stress, which is being able to come up with new knowledge with the knowledge that you already have. So not memorizing anything new. So if I, for example, I'm told, for example, that Earth is 6.38 million meters in radius. That is entirely different than me doing the calculation using the universal gravitational equation, right? So that is what I'm talking about. That is a very bad example because not everyone that's watching here is like a physics student. So I'll give you a better example. Imagine that I just told you to memorize 2 plus 2 is equal to 4. You never actually knew what 2 was. You never actually knew what plus meant. And you never knew what equal meant. You just knew the word 2 plus 2, and then immediately they just associated that with the number 4. See, if I taught someone math, and I said 2 plus 2 is equal to 4, and I said, what's 3 plus 3 then? They should be able to, with their deductive knowledge, be able to determine what 3 plus 3 is, whereas the person that just memorized it doesn't know what you're talking about. They don't even know what 3 is, they don't know what plus is, nor do they know what equals is either. So they've just understood what 3 plus 3 is. It's just the sound to them that they're giving in a corresponding sound back, which is 6. But the person that actually understands it, they pretty much are able to determine new knowledge from the pre-existing knowledge that they already have. And that's essentially what I'm talking about on a general level, but there's way more. And then the third most important thing when it came to optimizing for your growth was meeting people. Meeting people here is, and this is something that I didn't realize until recently, which was what makes the whole world work, what makes you value anything in the world is is indirectly influenced by people. If you like money, the only reason why you like money is because other people find value in it as well. You are indirectly liking money because everyone else likes it. So you actually are liking it with respect and relative to other people. So people are your most important asset right here. If you can provide basically value to these people, it's essentially equivalent to money, right? Because the only reason why you use that money is to exchange value with, you're trying to get that money to someone else, give that value of money to someone else so they can do something for you, or they can give you something. And if you can give value in another way other than money, you can do the same thing. That's what I find very interesting. And that's why I feel like meeting new people is so important, because even if, for example, if you think you can just be alone all the time and sit down on your computer and learn anything you want, for example, off Google, Google is essentially a way for you to connect with people without actually meeting them. You go to a website, someone has created that. You know, Google itself was created by a person. The thing that you're buying, that camera, that phone that you have in your hand, or that computer that you're looking through, is manufactured by other people. So that's what I found very, very interesting. I was like, okay, that's very, very important. If people are surrounding everything you do, then it should be very important to cultivate relationships with other people. And it has nothing to do with networking. It has nothing to do with trying to make sure that you get as many people to give you as many things as possible. It has nothing to do with that. It's just genuinely meeting people for the sake of meeting people, right? And I thought that gave you arguably one of the greatest leverages. So that was growth. Then it comes to money. Now money, I'm just going to give you like a very quick rundown because I'm not really optimizing for money. Although it's a sub-optimization, it's a secondary optimization, right? That you can optimize for growth first as a priority and then money after. But I'm not really optimizing for it because I don't really care as much. I've had money before, so it's not, and I've lost it. So, and I didn't really know what to do with it, so I shouldn't say I didn't know what to do with it, because I actually didn't know what to do with it, but I just wanted to keep it. So, quick digression. The reason why I say I had money was because I got really, really lucky trading one time. I was doing margin trading and I made a significant amount of money. And I didn't cash out and I didn't like spend it on anything because I thought I could multiply that money into an even greater amount. But you know the nature of margin trading. If you're a trader, you will freaking lose. So that happened, but still optimizing for money because it just allows you to get more resources for growing, right? So if I, for example, wanted a mentor, I would have to go travel somewhere. If I don't have the means to travel, then I need money. So that's how I was thinking about it. So optimizing for money is one of 5 things that you can do that can optimize your money, which was the network thing. The network is still important. Your brand, being able to have a good story. If you have a good story and you have good distinctiveness, so you're someone, for example, like let's assume me, I'm more likely to be remembered if I have a hat on my head saying "Make America Great Again," versus if I had a hat just that's plain red and that's it. People will remember me from that. You see what I'm trying to say? If I had a random like arm that was coming out of like my shoulder right here, another arm coming out, that'd be much more memorable. This is an example of something called distinctiveness. But then brand also has story, which is just so much more important. This is what allows people to relate to you, and that's your leverage right there. Small businesses, they really drive this point home, right? They're like, we got established in 1960s and just tried to, this is gonna sound so bad, obviously, but we came from the 1960s trying to give the most value to our customers, and we've been doing that for over 40 years. We started off with humble beginnings in a little town in Italy called Florence, and then from there we came here with nothing on a boat, and then we decided that we wanted to give the American people a true taste of Italy. Stuff like that, you know what I mean? So that is an example of a good story, a subpar story. And that is the second thing. So you have the people, you have brand, then you have an information advantage. This is interesting because if you have more knowledge than someone else about something, then by definition you have leverage. I'll give you an example. Let's assume we're doing a race to see who can get to a certain place, and everyone's going down one road, If you have an information advantage of a shortcut of another way, which is very counterintuitive, like no one would notice that if you went this way, you could actually cut the entire path. That is an example of an information advantage. So that's the third thing. The fourth thing is price. Everything has a price. The labor you provide, the product that you are selling, the service that you are selling has a price. You can get leverage by lowering your price, if not giving it away for free. Pro bono work or pro bono products, whatever it is. That is an example of providing leverage or gaining leverage, sorry. And then the third reason why I said that word was because I was about to say the fifth thing is providing value. And providing value is a hugely complicated thing because the people value things in many different ways, and it all has to do with their identities and also what they fear. So people can, for example, buy a lot of makeup because of their insecurity of how they look. That's just an example. They can also buy makeup because they like it, right? And that's their passion. And if you can find that value, that's the most important thing. A lot of people, for example, have value in motivation, so they'll go buy a motivational program or like a spiritually healing program, stuff like that, and that is value, right? So they'll buy it. People that have get-rich-quick schemes, the people that have get-rich-quick schemes are providing value because they're like immediate, at least short-term value. Like that's why people buy it, right? That's why people buy it, because they think that they're going to get a certain amount of value. So that's the way in which you can gain leverage, by those 5 things. Those 5 things branch out so much that I can't even get into in this video. And I think I've talked for so long. Let me see how long I've talked for. Holy shit, bro. It's at 46 minutes. I'm not even fucking done yet. Oh my god, I gotta move on. So, it's at 36 minutes right now. So, recent move to MSV is what I wrote down on my computer, which was basically meaning that I spent so long thinking about leverage, thinking about my problem solving framework, that I spent, I think, 2-3 months just on that, literally doing nothing else. And I was like, hold the fuck up. You're telling me I have to focus on leverage and problem solving frameworks and doing all this shit when I have maintenance systems that I still have to establish. I still have a meal plan that I have to optimize for. I still have to find the right time to, for example, do my laundry, stuff like that. I'm like, why the hell am I not doing that? It takes like 2 seconds. And I was like, there's something inherently wrong with this system. So then I was like, okay, let's look at the system. And the problem that I noticed was that whenever I would say I would do this system, it had a set of defined tasks. And I would whenever I would start doing them, more tasks would keep on getting added onto the sprint. And I would just keep extending the sprint. So that's why I was like, that's why I'm spending so long doing all this stuff. Because the leverage thing, bro, it literally never ended. I was like, okay, check this out. I can start with leverage for growth, leverage for money. And then once I determine all the things that give me leverage for money, for example, like the social network, the value, the brand, the competitive, the information advantage, I can then ask myself, what gives those things leverage? And then just like branches out like a tree. And then I have to do double the amount of work for each one, right? So that's why I was like, okay, I can stop, have a good foundation. I should develop the minimum requirement for each system so that I can actually develop all of these once I'm done that. And I decided to call that a minimum viable system. A lot of people have in project management or product management, they call it an MVP, minimum viable product. I call it an MVS, a minimum viable system. Oh, MSV. I call it MSV here. It should be MVS. I was like, okay, perfect. MVS. This is perfect because I'm not going to have to add any new tasks anymore. I'm just going to get the essentials that I need to incorporate, and that's it. Done. So then I did that. Maintenance systems, focus systems, learning systems, self-awareness. These are all things that I decided to incorporate the minimum amount to establish these. So I ended up doing that. But then as I was doing that, see, this is where it gets to where I'm at recently. As I was doing that, I was like, okay. I had just recently finished my summer exams, by the way, at that time, which was like a few weeks ago. And as I finished my summer exams for some courses, I was like, okay, now I have to apply for my next courses. I see that I have to apply for my next courses, and I'm like, oh shit. I see that I'm gonna finish, if I move this course here to the first semester, I'll be able to finish every single course that's left in my engineering program in fall of 2020. And the only thing I'll be left for winter is capstone. So I had this idea that this could work before, but once I did it, I was like, wait, this leaves the entire entire semester free. And I could focus on my sprint and all that stuff. I could do that, right? That's what I was thinking in the beginning. But then I had this realization, like, yo, I can get an internship. I could just do an internship from January to April because I'm still in school. And the moment that I thought about that, and also considering the fact that the internship gives me a good transition to a company, working at a company, since I've never worked anywhere before, that was insane. Like truly, truly, truly insane. I'm gonna get water for 2 seconds. Let's That was insane. It completely changed the path. I was establishing MVSs, and I told myself, pause for 2 seconds, let me just develop this plan and we'll come back. And I had problems because I had no idea of what to do. Now, before I talk about this internship, because I know I'm running out of time as well, let me just quickly add in now what I was saying in the beginning of how my mindset has changed ever since I listed the things over there. So now I've gotten to the point where I started understanding the reason why I moved to Toronto. The reason why I moved to Toronto is because I had this idea that if I allowed an external pressure to push me, right? If I just allowed it to push me, and I knew that I couldn't quit, then I would end up doing something really, really nice. And I ended up doing a lot of things, right? Like, it wasn't obviously what I expected, but I now have a change of heart about that, about pushing myself towards discomfort in that way, specifically at least. And the reason why is because I think personally now I can actually self-impose that discomfort using a systems-oriented approach, which is exactly what I do on a micro level. You see, there's something called a forcing function, which Charles Duhigg, I'm pretty sure, talks about in his book, The Power of Habit. And pretty much what that is that you look at an event that's happening in your life, or that's happening in your life, and you make it so that regardless of whether you want to finish something or not, you have to finish it because this thing is coming. So I'll give you an example. Something that I used to do in school was I used to tell myself that I'm going to study this entire chapter. And the way in which I would do that is I would email the prof and I'd be like, I'm going to meet you at this time on this day, and I'm going to ask you every single thing about every single chapter. And because of the fear of me not wanting to go to him with nothing, it actually forced me to study everything, regardless of whether I wanted to or not. And that's an example of a forcing function. Now, essentially, I did that on the macro. I moved to Toronto with no job. I did that on the macro. I pretty much forced myself to do something in my life because of the comfort I was feeling over there in Oakville. Now I'm saying I can make myself do all that homework, for example, just using a system that I've already created, using that modular schedule. And I don't think I even mentioned what that even means. But basically, you know how I told you that I can plan exactly what I have to do during that day, and if I don't do it, then I have these certain consequences? I can do that now, for example. I can incorporate that system. There's more incentive systems that I have yet to incorporate, which is something called an RPS, which I'll talk about probably a little bit later. But it's a very, very good way of rewarding and punishing, so that it's not a short-term doing this task only because I'm scared I'm going to get punished for it, or doing this task only because I want this reward. It's almost like a very, very nice probabilistic way of thinking about it. That the more tasks that you do that are productive, the likelier of a chance you are to be rewarded, but not guaranteed. It's very, very beautiful in my opinion. So, forcing functions. I realized I could do that on the micro, therefore I could do it on the macro as well. So I was like, I could be comfortable, right? This is the reason why I wanted to do an internship, because remember in the last video I was like, yo, if I do an internship, like all that discomfort, it's gone, right? I'm like, there's no point. If I can create my own system to become this uncomfortable, then that's fine. I can have a little bit of predictive air, you know what I mean? Like I can have a little bit of an idea of what's going to be happening in the macro, because I truly need that right now, at least, to establish my systems, because I realize how much work really is needed to establish these. I was also scared of tutoring because I was scared of being comfortable again. And this is something, like I mentioned, because I know that I'm not coming here to become uncomfortable anymore in the sense of pushing myself to be creative because I have systems now. I started understanding that tutoring was only comfortable because of how much, because I had no other system in place. My default was to be comfortable. So now my idea to tutoring is a little more open, although it's not like I'm trying to do it. But if I ever did it, I was thinking about limiting it to a few hours in a week just to make sure that I get the essential money that I have, that I need, so that after that, then I can just do whatever. So for example, let's assume I'm working at a job and then I can also tutor for like 4 hours in a week. That's amazing, because I can make like so much money from tutoring. And therefore that comfort allows me to, the comfort on a larger scale, in terms of surviving, allows me to actually work on the systems, right? Which allows me to push myself wherever I want. This forcing function, this grand forcing function, actually, I realized doesn't have precision. It doesn't allow me to specifically orient myself and push myself to a specific place that I want to be in, right? It just forces me to try to find a way to survive, which I might do in really obscure ways. I might, for example, try to trade in order to make money. I might try to work at a random job to make money. I might work at a job that I don't even like to make money, to survive. So that's the reason why I think the systems are much more precise. So I decided I'm not going to start my own business yet, also because working at a job is very, very useful in terms of the following things. Remember I talked about the greatest form of leverage for growth is people? I don't have that when I start my own business. If I work at somewhere, I'm going to be able to meet mentors, I'm going to be able to meet like-minded people, I'm going to be able to meet people that are smarter than me. I'll be able to learn so much. I'll be able to have such a vast network of people that can influence me and can just change whatever it is that I like, and make me be able to find different things that I might like, that it's just like the leverage is just uncomparable to having a business. And that's the reason why I want to work somewhere as well. Let me quickly check how much time I have, because I don't want to waste so much time. 47 minutes, oh my goodness. Okay. I should probably have a timer next time, so I don't have to like keep doing that. I can make it flow. So now, you know what? I have a few minutes. I'm debating on whether I should talk about my internship plan, because it's pretty big. It's very big, in my opinion. How about I do it like this? Next video, once I do get the internship, which will be about a month or two, I'll make a video of what my process was. That's perfect. But let me give you my idea of what the internship is right now. My idea, at least right now, is that I believe you can get into every company that you want to work for. You can work at any company that you want to work for. They don't even have to have a job posting. You can work for that company. The reason why is because two things. The only reason why someone wouldn't want to hire you is because of the level of trust, let's say, that they would have. That's what I pretty much bring it down to. Trust that, for example, you can make the money. Trust that you are skilled at what you do. Trust in any of those things. If they have trust that you can make the money, why wouldn't they hire you? If they have trust that their problems will be solved because of you, why wouldn't they hire you? And the second thing is the amount of cost that they want to concede in hiring you, which is giving you all the benefits, giving you a pay, giving you all the stuff. Now, if you can optimize the value, the trust, and minimize the cost, you are in a great position. So I can go to a company, for example. This is how I was thinking about it. This is literally what I told my friend the other day. I said, I can literally go to a company that I really want to work for. Let's assume it's McKinsey. McKinsey & Company. It's one of the top consulting companies in the world, management consulting companies in the world. I can go up to them and say, listen, I work at such and such place right now. I'm getting paid this much, whatever. I am providing this much value to the company at the moment. I am increasing our market share by this much. However, I believe that your company is the next step because of these reasons. The main reason is because of the amount of growth that I can get from it, the people that are there. I want to surround myself with the top and the best. And basically, because of those reasons, I am willing to work for you for free in order to get a chance at working at your company. And that's a way of leverage that I don't know what company wouldn't say no. Because if you're able to have this trust, like let's assume you also say, for example, like I know this person, this person, this person, and I know exactly how your process works. I don't need much training. I can get up and running, and I'm not getting paid. Like that is such almost like such a irrevocable offer that I'm like I would even hire them, even though I'm my own company. So like, that's what I'm thinking. I actually realized I do have my own company. I don't know why I didn't say that. I had my tutoring company. Like if someone said that to my tutoring company, oh my god, like that would be insane. That would be so insane. I would say 100%. I wouldn't even introduce you. Like 100%. Get on board. You know. And I have a bunch of different ideas of basically being able to get to that level of doing stuff like that. And hopefully, my plan is to target a few startups that I really, really think are just killing it. The startups that I think are just gonna really go in the right direction, and just work for them, and just be a part of the fam. You know what I mean? And just learn as much as I can. And after I learn as much as I can, then I'll decide after that. I just know that this will give me the greatest leverage right now. And right now, that's where I'm at. There's actually another. Actually, no, I'm not going to mention it right now. I'll talk about it in the future because I don't want this to go too long. So, that's what's going on. Anything else? Oh yeah, the job that I want to apply for, I didn't even mention that. The job that I want to apply for is in a software engineering position, and I've been researching nonstop and just practicing nonstop. You know, I made my resume, made my GitHub. I have a website called Haseab.com that is looking very nice, and we'll see what happens with it, you know? So until then, talk to you soon. Peace out.